Well, hello again to all the boys and girls out there in YouTube land watching. John and Ellie of Georgia Beer Reviews back at you this afternoon with a special live examination of Goose Island, Bourbon County. And joining me, we have Michael Komaroff from Brooklyn.
Always great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about this. So we'll tell you a little bit about our beers here. Mine is not a stout. Mine is the 2018 Wheat Wine Ale. It's aged in bourbon barrels. It is 15.4% alcohol. This is the only variant in 2018 that is not a stout. Back in 2017, I believe, they had a barley wine. So this is their only non-stout offering. Michael, which variant do you have?
I have the straight one, the straight Bourbon County 2018 stout at 15.2%. And this is my first drinking of it. I have a couple more bottles of it also. I've had, the 16 and the 17 as well. And I'm hoping this one will be up to the same kind of specs as the other ones, but I guess I won't know until I try it.
Right.
Should we open it up?
Let's do it. I'm just pulling up the comments here really quick. Yeah, let's crack them open, give them a pour, see what we're working with here. The last Bourbon County stout that I had, or Bourbon County anything, it was a stout, was the 2017 Northwood Stout Edition, which had the blueberry puree and almond extract added. And that was one of only 3 or 4 beers that I've ever given a perfect score. So I'm very excited about this one, obviously. And wow, yeah, the color is definitely a lot lighter than maybe I was anticipating.
Mine is, John, as you've seen, the classic Imperial Stout color. Very dark brown. You can see through it, but it's mostly opaque. And a nice beige tan kind of head. Now you notice with your high alcohol one, you hardly have any head at all.
It poured with a little bit of a head, which dissipated almost immediately.
Mine is.
I mean, we're talking 0.2% here. They're both very high alcohol.
Mine is a very thin head, which is getting smaller as we're talking. So my head was bigger when I first poured too. But
there's some nice carbonation with mine going up the glass. I see a lot of streaming bubbles, which is nice.
Mine as well. So both
the aroma on this is absolutely incredible. You can see through this when you hold it up to the light, but it is slightly hazy. It could be a little bit of a chill haze from the glass because I did have this in the fridge. I mean, it's not ice cold, but I like to start with beers like this, chilled, and then they're sippers. So as I sip on it over the next hour or so, it'll warm up, and I'll get to kind of get the best of both worlds with it.
How would you describe your color?
Caramel, deep caramel color.
Okay. And it is darker than it is lighter than you expected.
It's a little bit lighter. I was expecting it to be a little darker. I expected to be able to see through it like when I held it up to the light, but more like a brown ale. This is almost more of an amber, a caramel amber appearance.
Okay. Did you give it a sniff?
Yeah, it smells absolutely delightful. Rich caramel. It definitely, you can tell this is going to be a very malt forward, very sweet beer. Almost a little bit of like a champagne type aroma, like a little bit of a fruity, I guess, like a grape thing that you get with champagne. It's strange, but it's not off-putting. It's not like an off aroma. It's different than what I was expecting. But first and foremost, you're getting the caramel, that malt-forward presentation. I'm getting a little bit of the wood, a little bit of the barrel presence is coming through on the aroma as well. It smells, sweet and oaky and slightly boozy, but not 15.4% boozy. I mean, you could tell though that this is a strong beer just from the aroma, but I mean, it smells absolutely delightful. No hop character, which I wasn't expecting to get with this type of thing anyway. It's bourbon barrel aged, so any hops that might have been there are going to be somewhat faded. That's obviously not what they were going for with this beer. It smells like a malt bomb in the best possible way.
Now mine is a little different in that you're getting roasty malt in the nose, combined with vanilla, bourbon, oaky like you're getting, woody, dark fruit, like kind of a plum kind of thing in the aroma as well. It's like delicious smelling, if you know what I mean. It's like intense. The nose is intense.
Absolutely.
You can't smell alcohol, but you can smell alcohol intensity. Notice, if you smell this, you know this is not a session beer. You can absolutely tell, and yet you can't smell 15.2% in this. You cannot smell that it's that high, but it's intense.
Yeah, it smells delightful. Really quick, we'll go to the chat. We've got Alan's Beer and Gaming is tuning in. Says cheers to you, Alan. Thanks for tuning in. He says that looks like a barley wine. Yeah, the version that I have is a wheat wine ale. So I mean, it is a barley wine. This is the 2018 version of the barley wine. Last year they just it wasn't made with wheat. They just called it. It was just a straight up barley wine. This is a wheat version of that at 15.4%. We've got Kent Beer Reviews tuning in. Says cheers, guys. Cheers to you, Craig. Thanks for tuning in all the way over in England. Appreciate it. All right, now the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's taste these bad boys.
John, cheers.
Cheers. Oh,
mine is amazing.
Caramel, vanilla, the wood is coming through. It's really warming going down, so you know it's high ABV, but it's not really super boozy on the palate. Definitely no hop presence. If you want a balanced beer, you want a little hop character, a little bitterness, don't buy this because it does not have any of that. This is a dessert beer in the best possible sense. Man, this is so good. Getting a little vanilla too, I think, from the bourbon barrels. Oh, man. Delightful. The carbonation is really fine and prickly too. I wasn't really expecting a lot of carbonation, but it is nicely carbonated, which I think for this high of an ABV barrel-aged beer, that fine little prickly carbonation kind of adds to the enjoyability of the beer and balances takes away some of the booziness, some of the strength from it, just because you get that carbonation, which is not, I wasn't expecting that. Absolutely delightful. I'm going to let you describe yours and just keep sipping on this.
Okay, my flavor does follow the nose. I'm getting the vanilla in the taste again. I'm getting the oakiness in the taste. You're getting some of the bourbon, which is obviously bourbon barrel aged, so you're getting the bourbon as well. You're getting some of the dark fruit as well. The best part about this is the way all the flavors are put together, the complexity of the flavors. They work together so well, it makes it almost like one of the perfect beers. And I've given these type beers 99s before, and from the initial look, that looks like where this one is headed because it's as good as the other ones I've had.
Right. This is up there. This is definitely the best barley wine I've ever had. It's just so rich and complex that bourbon barrel aging just gives it a whole nother depth of flavor. The oaky qualities and the vanilla, the toffee, the caramel, you're getting that anyway because it's, got the roasted malt in there, but the barrel aging just takes it over the top. And man, is this good.
And this is one of the reasons, John, when we talk about Goose Island and in this division of them, I'm not putting their whole operation together, but their bourbon barreling editions on all they come out with, I think it's every November they come out.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like
it's on? Last year it was released nationwide on Black Friday. All the
right.
Variants.
So it comes out and they come out with as many variants as they have. It's usually about 6 or 7. Unfortunately, for your area of the country, they were so high in alcohol there were only 2 I think you could have gotten, and they wrote Georgia off for that reason. They didn't even bother.
They decided not to distribute any of the Goose Island to the state of Georgia because of the 14% alcohol beer law that we have here. They just decided it wasn't worth trying to, nitpick and send just 2 of the 8, or I think 6 or 8 that they had.
Right.
Thankfully, I was able to get this bottle in Louisiana, and man, am I glad that I did. I think it was $18.99 for the bottle, which I am pleased with that price, considering that this is it's pretty much a year old now. It was bottled in August, and tomorrow's August 1st.
Right.
It's just absolutely delightful. And one thing I didn't mention earlier was I'm getting dark fruit. You mentioned that with yours. I'm getting a little bit of fig with mine.
Okay, I'll put that in. So that's
exactly what it is, because when I was growing up, my Uncle Jack had a bee farm, and he grew his own figs. So I used to eat figs fresh off the little tree or bush or whatever. And so that's what I'm getting with this for the dark fruit note.
So your beer is also full flavor. It's not just one note. It's got all the things coming.
Oh, it has got everything that I could possibly want in a beer. The thing with this too is it's not a stout, so although it is heavy, don't get me wrong, it is a heavy beer. It's lighter bodied than a stout, so it's a little bit. It could be dangerous. I could just keep sipping on this, and you don't think it's 15.4 because of how smooth it is, and it doesn't quite have that heft, that heavy, super heavy body that you get with a stout. So this is a dangerous beer. I could sip this down rather quickly if I wanted to, but of course I'm not going to do that.
Realize it's a sipper, so you have to sip it, because we've been on these reviews with people. We did one, I think, with Jeremy and a bunch of other people, and Jeremy was drinking that 13% stout that I sent him, and I warned him. I said it's going to go down real easy. It was only a 12-ounce can. That was the one that I sent to him from Stillwater. It was Stillwater on Fleek.
Stillwater on Fleek, yeah.
Before he finished it, before he got the whole thing down, he says, "Mike, I can't believe how the alcohol has affected me." See, at the beginning, he's sitting there. That's a stout, so he was sipping it. He wasn't drinking it. But that's 13%. You drink that in 15, 20 minutes, and that's going to have its effect. Let me just see what this is. Right. I'm going to call her back.
Okay. So we've got, Kent Beer Review says you can tell by your reaction that it's world class. I don't know if you're talking about me or Michael, but yeah, I think we're both on the same page with the 2 different variants that we have. Alan's Beer and Gaming says that's crazy. He says, I put aside one of the Bourbon County Stouts back when they were released and drank one. So so you just had like a 2018 edition, Alan, or you've had one for years, and you had one from like 2014, 2015, which give me a little more info on that, Alan. But yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that I got this bottle. Now the Midnight Orange, you were telling me that one was slightly disappointing.
Yes, I didn't buy one, but Doug, my friend, bought one, and to me, I got more cherry out of it than orange. And if I'm not mistaken, I still gave it a 9, so I still thought it was quality. But the variants is so much more expensive than the basic stout. To me, if they're making you pay more, they should be as good. And I didn't find that one to be as good. But it's still a 9 out of 10. So if you're doing it, still in the world-class area, but it's just not as good. So if I broke that 9 out of 10 down, it's probably a 95, 94. Right. But it's not a 99 like the stouts have been. And I've had barley wines in the past too, and those were close to world class.
Jeremy says he wishes he still had one. That's cool that you got to try one, Jeremy.
This stuff is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. And this variant is actually cheaper than the original. The original variant is like $12.99 a bottle, right? On average.
I don't think I've ever seen them that cheap. They're usually almost double what the stouts are. So this was like almost 11 that I paid for this one at the co-op, and I think the stout's usually around $20. The variants.
Right. Yes, that's what I'm saying. The variants are typically more expensive than the standard or the original.
Yours is a very good price that you got for the one you had that you're trying today. That's not a bad price.
Yeah, I mean, I would have, to be honest, I'd have paid $30-$40 for it if I had to.
You may only try it one time in your life. You figure why?
Right. I mean, yeah, I can't get it here, and Lord knows when I'm going to be out of the state again, and I'm in another state where the alcohol laws permit this type of stuff to be sold. Alabama doesn't. Tennessee doesn't. Florida, I don't know about Florida. I think they're a little bit more lenient, but I think their alcohol limit is still 14 or 15 for beer. They have liquor stores and you can buy liquor at Walmart and grocery stores, stuff like that, but they still have a cap on beer. Louisiana is the only state around here, even close to here, that has no alcohol limit on beer.
Are you getting anything more as it's warming? It's not warming fast enough. We just started 10 minutes ago.
Not, yeah, but a little bit it has. A little bit more of the dark fruit, the fig notes.
As you notice, John, my head is completely gone. So there was a half a finger head, and now in any of these big beers, as you drink them, the head fades. And I still have some more in the bottle. If I pour it in, it'll probably reactivate the head, but it'll come down quickly.
Yeah, dark fruit, caramel, that bourbon barrel. Man, this is...
I mean, the complexity, I'm not saying the complexity is surprising me because I've had the Bourbon County before, but I guess every time I have one, it re-energizes me to the fact that these beers are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, these are all pasteurized since their problem several years ago when they had that recall.
Right. Yeah.
So now these are all pasteurized, so they can't go bad anymore.
Right. Yeah. I would have liked the infected version. It got infected with lactobacillus, which is the strain that
you might have liked the souring effect even on the ones that went bad.
Absolutely. The beer reviewer, I believe it's Darwin's Beer Reviews. You said he did one of the ones that was actually infected, and he said it would have gotten an A if he knew if that's what they were going for, but because it was infected, he dropped it down, but he still gave it a B rating, I think.
He gave it a B rating, and he said if it had been blind and he was just tasting it, not knowing what it was, he would have given it an A. But since he knows it was intending not to have that souring effect, he had to downgrade it one grade. But even giving it a B, that means that the effect was not a totally negative thing. Sometimes souring can destroy a beer, but their quality is so high that just the souring did not. And I drank several of the lots that were destroyed because they refunded your money without having you return the beer. So I got to keep it. Now, none of mine from those lots were bad. But had they been, I like souring too. Maybe I would have liked it too. It's not guaranteed I wouldn't have liked it. I just find this to be amazing stuff.
So let's see. Jeremy says $9 at Hot Springs, Arkansas. Could have bought 5 more. Wow, Jeremy, you need to get on that, man.
Should have bought those up.
That's an incredible value.
That's a steal.
Alan says he's got a 2018 one. He's still got a 2018 one in the fridge. Bumpy is tuning in, says, WTF, is this a live rerun? Now, this is it's a live stream, Bumpy.
Hi, Bumpy.
Jeremy says live, but wow, it is early. Yes, it is, but we were chomping at the bit to get into these Bourbon County beers. Alan says he can get up to 18% alcohol beer in South Carolina. Okay, that's
good
to
know.
know.
John, that's a bordering state to you. I don't know if you want to take a road trip.
That's actually a lot closer than my recent trip to Louisiana. So I might have to make a beer run soon.
Do you know anybody in South Carolina? You can visit Alan.
Oh yeah, I was born in Columbia, South Carolina, so I have a lot of family and friends up there. Jeremy says definitely world-class beer. Alex the Beer Master says, what's up, John and Michael? What's going on, Alex? Thanks for tuning in. He said Alan says that they changed the alcohol limit here a few years ago. Used to, they couldn't get anything high gravity or over 7%. Okay, so that's a newer law. Bumpy says that sour stouts were normal back in the day. I believe it was a regular thing in Africa. Okay, interesting. Didn't know that. And Jeremy says, I got to grab some Hot Pockets for Alex's Friday food reviews. Alan says, Westbrook Brewing is one town over from Charleston. Yeah, Westbrook, Mount Pleasant, I believe. That's they make excellent beers at the brewery. They do a lot of collaboration stuff with Evil Twin. They make some excellent stouts that I've had that are just, world class. But this here is better than any of those beers that I've had. Alan says, so come on around here. I'll have to meet you for a beer or three. Yeah, Alan, when I'm next time I'm up near South Carolina, I will hit you up. That'd be cool. And Bumpy says the closest worldwide stout to me is 176 miles away. Oh, that's too bad, Bumpy. I made a request that he review that since he can get those high alcohol beers up there to see how it stacked up against some of the other stuff he had. And I guess you'll just have to plan yourself a road trip, Bumpy. 176 miles. That's not too bad. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. We got a good crowd here for a kind of spur of the moment thing. Didn't really advertise it or anything. We just went live. So thanks everybody. I'm ready for a rating on mine.
And I'm pouring the rest into my glass now. I have about 12 ounces left of the 17 ounces I had.
This is the rest of mine. I poured the rest in there or topped it off. I'm having a hard time not actually drinking this.
Again, John, mine has to go slower than yours because mine, I think, is more, because it's a stout, it's
the body.
It has more body in it. And as you're drinking it, if you don't sip this slowly, I mean, I could be total. I'll be honest. I can feel the 15.4.
I can definitely feel the 15%. I will say that I don't know if you have seen this variant, but if you do ever see it, you need to check it out because this is outstanding. It's the best barley wine I've ever had. Which I guess wheat wine is it's basically a barley. Well, yeah, instead of using barley, they use wheat. But it's the same concept, just super malt forward, high ABV, age. The more you age something like this, at least for the first few years, the more complex and I guess the better it's gonna get.
Have you ever had Sierra Nevada Bigfoot? That's a well-known
Bigfoot barley wine ale. I have not, but I can get it. I just have not.
It's something you should try. But again, it's not barrel aged. It's just a regular barley wine.
Right.
A little bit different than that. It won't have the intensity that what you're going for.
That one actually, from what I've heard about it, if you buy that one fresh, it's got a lot of hop character. But if you let it age,
all their stuff has hop character.
Right.
Anything that's not a stout. They make stouts too, but all their non-stouts and porters have hop character.
I don't really think this one ever did. Even if I got it on Black Friday last year when it was first released, I don't think it would have had any hop character. I'm not getting that. When you have hops that have been sitting for a while or been bourbon barrel aged or whatever, they fade, and what's left behind is a little bit of maybe like a light citrus, but there's no bitterness or anything. It's almost like I don't know. If you've ever had an aged beer that was at one point very high on the IBU scale, very hoppy, there's just a unique character that's left behind from hops that have faded. I don't want to say musty because I don't think that's necessarily the right terminology, but it's a distinct flavor that you get with faded hops. And I'm definitely not getting that with this.
You're getting mostly malt forward on your wheat wine.
Malt forward all the way through. I mean, it's a malt lover's paradise. Toffee, caramel, vanilla, and then it's fruity too. You get the fig, maybe a little bit of date. It had that strange but very pleasant champagne thing when I took that first sip.
I'm getting now as mine's warming more bourbon in mine. And it's been there, it's been present from the beginning, but now the bourbon is kind of like,
bourbon.
It's leading.
The dark fruit and the bourbon is developing more as it warms. I have absolutely nothing negative to say about this beer. So if anybody out there in YouTube land that's watching was expecting me to say something negative about this Bourbon County, you can put it to rest right now. It ain't gonna happen. This is absolutely outstanding.
If I was giving hundreds out, this would get 100. Get my highest. I'm going to give it now. I'm rating it a 99. It's the top end, as good as anything I've ever had. So I mean,
I'm giving it the same thing. The only reason it doesn't get 100 is because I've only had a few barley wines in my life, and I'd like to think that there might be something out there as good or better. So I'm going to save that 100 rating for this one, but it is world class. There's no doubt about it. It's world class. I would absolutely recommend it to anybody out there that can find it. If you got to pay $20 a bottle, if you got to pay $30 a bottle, and you've never had it, and you want a once in a lifetime, or just maybe not once in a lifetime with all the great craft beer out there nowadays, but an incredible drinking experience, and you like malt forward, bourbon barrel aged, sweet beers, you're gonna freaking love this.
Mine is sweet as well, but and John, when you had the one in 2017, I'm sure that one was sweet too. But there's a sweetness in that whole bourbon barrel aging process that it has to be sweet and malt driven, just because that's the nature of the beers they brew.
Right.
But it's complex and it's really well balanced.
Yeah. So 99s out of 100 for both of us. World-class beers, people. Let's check the comments one more time, and I guess we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. Okay. Alan says, I have to say the only two things that Westbrook has, or any of the breweries have around here, that come close to the quality of Goose Island Bourbon County is Westbrook Mexican Cake and OFYMD. I've had both of those. The Mexican Cake I thought was excellent, and the OFYMD, which actually, if you look on the Evil Twin website, it stands for yeah, more drinking. So both of those are excellent, but this one is better. The OFYMD, Alan, I thought was really syrupy, super heavy bodied. This is dangerously smooth and light bodied for a 15.4% wheat wine. I mean, it's absolutely, you get a lot of trouble with this. Excuse me. And that carbonation, it's got that good carbonation. It actually made me burp, which for a heavy beer like this, usually you don't get that. Jeremy says, do they make a mango flavored Goose Island Bourbon County stout? Asking for a friend. I don't think so, Jeremy, but if they did, I think myself and even Michael would love to try that, because if it's Goose Island, you know it's going to be good.
I would. I wish Jeremy had picked up those beers, though. At that kind of price, you never see it that low.
Yeah, Jeremy, even if you didn't want, you could have sent them to Michael and myself, and we would have enjoyed them for you. Alex the Beer Master says, John, what kind of hot pocket? Okay, Alex the Beer Master is doing a hot pocket and beer thing on Friday. I don't know yet, Alex. It'll be a surprise. I haven't decided yet. Alan says Sierra Nevada seasonal big releases like Into the Woods is really good. Never had Into the Woods or the Bigfoot barley wine. Have you ever had the Into the Woods, Michael?
No, I haven't. I have just the straight Bigfoot.
And Bumpy says, are we seriously doing a Hot Pocket Friday? I'll join in. Yeah, I think Alex is serious about that, Bumpy.
Yes, John, we should mention now to who's ever watching, there's also Founders, KBS, and CBS, which have to be mentioned in the same sentence as these beers, I think. Those are other ones. Yeah. Those are other ones I've given 99s and 98s to.
Yep. The other Goose Island one for me, the Founder CBS and the KBS. some of the Evil Twin stuff.
What were your ratings for the ones from New Holland, Michigan? You tried both the bourbon barrel one and the straight one. What were your ratings at? Do you remember?
I think the standard bourbon.
I can't even think of the name of the beer now.
Dragon's Milk Bourbon Barrel Aged Stout. The standard one, I think I gave a 97 or 98, and then they had a orange chocolate one that I tried that was like a 96, and then they had a raspberry hibiscus one, which I think I gave a 98. They're all in the excellent to world-class range. They're a little bit thinner body. I mean, they're not thin on the mouthfeel, but for a stout, they're super smooth and easy drinking. They don't have that viscosity, that like oil-like consistency that you get with a lot of like heavy or high ABV stouts. But so I thought that they were very, very excellent, or excellent, but very well priced as well. You get an 11% bourbon barrel aged stout, a 4-pack for like $12 or $13.99. I can't remember.
It was really a fair price. These are, because I guess they are 15%, are more intense than those as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
4% alcohol does carry a punch with it.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And as this continues to warm, bourbon in the best possible way.
Mine is exactly the same.
I'd really like to know what bourbon barrels they age this in. That would be
somebody said Heaven Hill. Have you heard of Heaven Hill?
I have yes. I don't think it's Heaven Hill. I think it's Heaven Hill is pretty cheap stuff, pretty standard.
But then when you're doing it for beer kind of stuff, it doesn't have to be the most expensive barrels.
It doesn't have to be, but I just think it's a little bit more than just your budget. I think it's maybe more of like a middle of the road. Maybe the Heaven Hill, instead of the Heaven Hill 3-year, maybe it's a Heaven Hill 4-year.
Maybe it was older Heaven Hill, more of their
maybe a 4-year age, because straight bourbon, to qualify as straight bourbon whiskey, it only has to be aged for 3 years.
Right. So maybe it's they may have an upgrade version. Maybe it's one of those.
I just feel like the quality of these beers, I think they're using something a little bit. I mean, not that it's super high. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be too expensive, because then they'd have to make the price of these even more. But I think it's at least middle of the road bourbon. I don't think they're using the bottom shelf stuff.
Okay, well, you have to ask them what it is.
Yeah, I would be very interested to know, but I doubt they would ever release that information.
They probably wouldn't tell you. They'd make it seem like it's a trade secret. We're not really which barrel.
Oh, it's Pappy Van Winkle concept. Man, a lot of comments. Thanks everybody for watching. So Kent Beer Reviews says, "Oh, I don't know how that translates. 20 euros in the UK. I don't know what that equates to in dollars." He says we only get the original. We don't get any variants. So that's interesting. No variants over there in England. Alan says he has to find 2 bottles of the wheat wine. Then if you find the wheat wine, Alan, buy it. You're absolutely going to love it. It's the best. I mean, it's the best barley wine style beer I've ever had, hands down. Actually, the only one that I can think of that was a close second was actually a Founders beer. I think it was called Lizard of Cause or Lizard. Anyway, it was a limited release beer from Founders that had a lizard on the label, and that was a world-class barley wine. But I've only seen it once, and the bottle that I bought, when I bought it, it was already 3 years old. So it had been sitting for a while. So this one is better than that, and it's only a year old, and they release these beers every year. So chances are, if you can't get the 2018 variant, there'll be something similar. Something similar released this year in November when they released the new lineup of Bourbon County. Michelle Verico says, hello to you, Michelle. Thanks for tuning in. And Jeremy says, is there going to be a Wildcard Wednesday tonight? Yes, there is. I don't know if it's on Jay's channel or on Eric's channel. but
Sure.
I'm sure one of them is doing it. All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this live examination. Thanks so much, Michael, for joining me. I had a great time doing this. I'm absolutely loving this beer. So
I love, John, doing these duo beer tastings with you because we get a chance to really focus in more specific. I can't even pronounce it. More specifics on these individual
specificity. It's got specificity.
Yeah.
And it's August. It's the last day in August, so tomorrow there will be no more Google Hangouts if Jay is right about it.
Okay,
that's what they say.
But whatever it is, there's a way to deal with it. If it's not,
we'll figure
it out. There'll be a way to figure it out. August 1st is tomorrow, so we're going to find out if something does happen to change it. But as of right now, you know,
Jay just tuned in, and he has an answer for the what we were talking about earlier. He says they use 4+-year-old Heaven Hill barrels.
Okay, so John, I was correct.
So we were both. I said I don't think they use the bottom shelf stuff, which would be for a straight bourbon. It doesn't have to be 4 years,
right?
So they use 4+-year-old Heaven Hill barrels. So they do use some better stuff for the Goose Island.
Okay, but it was Heaven Hill. I was right on the distiller.
Yeah, you were right. Heaven Hill. And I heard Jay was talking about that before. I figured it was, but Heaven Hill, I mean, they make such a wide range of products, you know. I mean,
you've drank Heaven Hill bourbon, though, I'm sure, in the course of your travel.
I've tried it. I've actually got a bottle. Well, I've got the real cheap stuff that I got down in Louisiana. I got a bottle of the Heaven Hill American blended whiskey in the other room.
That's more their lower echelon of the product.
That's their low. Yeah, that's not. I mean, that's not even a bourbon. That's an American blended. So it's like 1 part bourbon whiskey and 2 parts neutral grain spirits. So.
But they do have a straight bourbon that's like competitive with some of the lower priced bourbons.
They do. Unfortunately I don't see Heaven Hill too much around here. That's why I picked up the bottle in Louisiana. I was like, well, I'm not going to see this in Georgia because I've looked. I've never been able to find it. So, anyway, I was glad I got that bottle as well. We've got John Womack in the chat as well now joining us. Thanks for tuning in, John. And Jeremy says, hello, Ron. All right. So, let's go ahead and wrap this up because I could go on all day sipping and talking about this incredible beer.
John, thanks for hosting.
County, you've done it again. So thanks for joining me, Michael. We'll end it there. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this live examination.
Cheers, everybody.
Right. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. And until next time, everybody, on whatever platform we may be on, but we will be here. Don't you worry, people. We'll be back. Cheers, everybody.